Okay, hello, good morning, welcome back. So, we've looked at the information phase, we've looked at the analysis phase. So now we're going to tackle the creative phase and possibly the evaluation phase. So, what's the creative phase? It says work in small groups and brainstorm around the functions you made in the last phase. So, and this is the important bit. The functions that you found in the last phase were just two-word descriptions. Yeah. So, I don't know, if we're talking about, I've got a cup of coffee next to me, so let's talk coffee. I like coffee. If we're talking cups, your analysis might have said contain liquid. Okay. So then you're taking that noun verb definition and you are brainstorming around that. So, well, first of all, let's just wind back a little bit. What are the rules of brainstorming? What does brainstorming mean? What is it to brainstorm? It's a group activity where ideally you sat around the table with a flip chart, some flip chart paper and a marker pen, and you're just very, very quickly throwing out ideas and putting them down on this piece of paper, possibly with circles and lines, going from every which way. And the rules of brainstorming are quite simple in that you don't reject any ideas. So even if somebody says something completely daft or that you think is idiotic, stick it down, put it down on a piece of paper, and sort of try and adhere to that as you're doing this brainstorming. So that's the stop saying. That's the ideal behind brainstorming. You're very quickly bouncing ideas off each other, and you create a mind map or a big sheet of paper with lots of different words on, some lines linking up, maybe trains of thought and things. And you don't, in that process, you don't judge. You just put it down on the paper. And that's brainstorming. So that's your creative phrase. So let's return to our cup. So our noun verb phrase is liquid container. Noun. Yeah, I think that's the right way around, isn't it? So then you brainstorm around that. Well, how else can you contain liquid? You might come up with different things that contain liquid. So you might, flask, bottles. It's not a mug though, is it? You might think of different ways of containing liquid, and so you are brainstorming around that core function. You're brainstorming around that core function, how it can be done differently, what else does it, and you're taking ideas off that. And because you're brainstorming around that function, around that noun verb definition, you might end up in a very different place and very different ideas to the actual product that you have, because you're not brainstorming around the product, you're brainstorming around the function that product does. So it might be that at the end of your brainstorm for a cup, you actually come back to, well, wouldn't it be nice to have an insulated cup that you could have a lid on? Yeah, I mean, yes, that's already been done, but it's very different from the ceramic cup with, I love my dad on that I'm currently holding. So, whereas if you started from that mug that I'm holding, you might not get anywhere else. You might, yeah. So that's what you need to be looking at in the creative phase. So yeah, it'd be better if you could do it as a group. So to reiterate what I did last time, if you want to get together with your mates on teams, just make sure that in your write-up you say, for this section or for all these sections, or you might do different parts in different teams, I don't know. But I was working in a team with this person, this person, and this person, and here is our creative process. Here's what we got from our creative phase, and that way, when you all give me the same creative phase, because you've all worked on it together, I'm happy with that because you worked on it together. Okay, so that's your creative phase. But you've got to go from that noun-verb definition. Yeah, and so you might have 3 or 4 noun-verb definitions. So you might produce 3 or 4 different spider diagrams for one for each of your verb-noun definitions. Yeah, there can be silly things on there. There can be ideas that when I look at it, I think, well, how does that work? But in doing that brainstorming, you're putting down ideas and you're not judging them. And it's much easier to bounce ideas off other people than it is to create this one in isolation. So, if you can, I'd recommend doing that. And if it boils down to somebody taking down the notes and just jotting them down on a piece of paper with some lines and circles, and then either scanning that in or using a cam scanner on your phone or something, and then uploading that's a valid way to do this as well, I think, at this point. Okay. I don't think there's a lot else to say about that creative phase. I'd expect a mind map, really, a sort of, or a list, or some quickly hand-jotted notes, or maybe you've found a nice web application that allows you to quickly create a similar thing online. That they're out there. Have a look, and just share that with me for the creative phase. So from the creative phase, you should have lots of ideas. Some of those will be practical, some of those will be ridiculous, some of those will be impractical, some of those will be silly. And the evaluation phase, you come to what you've got and you start to say, that's a very silly idea. I can't do anything with that. We were just kind of messing about there. That's a good idea. We could do that. But also in your evaluation phase, it's looking at what you've done in the creative phase, or what you have done in the creative phase. And it might be that you look at an idea that was initially verging on the silly or the ridiculous. Well, actually, if we pull that back and we do things that way, so you use the creative phase as a tool to kind of start to say, well, yeah, it sounds ridiculous, but we could do this. So you use that to kind of spark off further development in your evaluation phase there. So you might come up with 1 or 2 solutions from in your evaluation phase. You might not have come up with the initial phase. The obvious things looking at this are that we make the holes the same size for all 3 parts. As I think somebody suggested when we were discussing it in class, just making it out of 1 piece of sheet metal and just bending it. So you've got a piece of sheet metal, you've got a press that perhaps punches the holes and then punches out the shape and then bends the shape. Yeah, 3-stage press perhaps, or three different presses, one that does each operation. But the point is, we could make this out of 1 piece of metal, and we could have all the holes the same size. Yeah. So when you're on your evaluation phase, don't forget to include those more obvious points as well as building on what you've done in that creative phase also. Okay. Yeah. This website here will help with creative phase. Doesn't say a great deal about it, but function-based brainstorming. There we go. Yeah. So we need Adobe Flash Player for that. Adobe's on its way out, isn't it? Can we add this plugin? Adobe Flash Player is blocked. Of course it is. Why make life easy? You might be able to get Adobe Flash Player. I don't know. So we've got all this stuff from our creative phase, bringing it to our evaluation phase. We're evaluating that's a good idea, that's not a good idea. That sounds like a wild idea, but we could pull it in and use it with this idea, and that would be interesting. That might be good. Okay, so we've got these ideas. We've got these 3 ideas. So perhaps from your evaluation phase, look at what you've done in your creative phase and pull together 2 possible solutions for what solutions you have for this. And that should be evaluation phase. Looking at what you've got. How much time are we on? How much waffle? 10 minutes. Okay, we'll wrap this up with the development phase then. So your development phase, and is taking one of a couple of ideas, or 2 or 3 ideas from your evaluation phase, and it's doing a bit more research on them. So as somebody has suggested, like you've done with Mr. Benjamin before. So for example, I don't know, you might have suggested that making the bracket out of solid gold would be an excellent idea. I don't know why you do that, but let's say for example. So then your development phase, you're developing that idea. You're finding out how much gold costs. You're finding out about the material properties of gold. Will it be up to the job of holding the weight of your shelf? You might, and I'll whisper, you might even do some calculations to back it up. Yeah, that's why we do all these calculations. So you might do some calculations to back up your results there, and what you're finding out. And in your development phase, then you might come to the conclusion that actually gold's a bit too soft and a bit too expensive for this application. Yeah, but that's what we need to be doing in your development phase. You need to be looking at your solutions, finding out. Excuse me, just a second. Right, okay, again, completely lost my train of thought there. For those of you wondering, I didn't let him have a chocolate biscuit, he had a digestive instead. Right, so what have we got? Development is then, it's just finding out about your solution. Is it a viable solution? You've made these statements in your evaluation phase. You said, well, this is a good idea, we could do it this way. So in your development stage, you're finding out, well, actually, can we do it that way? How much does that material cost? Where would we get it from? How would we manufacture it? What changes would we have to make? So, for example, looking at our bracket, if we change the size of the holes, we need to change the size of the holes. If we change the size of the holes, then that's going to have an impact on the legs, because the bracket attaches to the legs, and currently they'll have to be drilled with different size holes to accommodate the bracket. So, there'll be a cost in tooling, but if we're doing the same size holes on the legs as well as the bracket, that's got to save us money, because it'll be less processes. So, I know it's not particularly realistic to ask you this, but you could perhaps make some estimates on, I don't know, if a drill operator was paid minimum wage and it took him this long to drill the holes in the bracket, how much money are you saving by not having him changing drill bits, and how much money are we saving by not having him change drill bits, just using the same drill for all those holes. That could be something you could pin an estimate on. You could back up with figures. So it's bringing analysis and evidence. Because we're engineers, we design things that actually have to be made. So that has to be backed up with real world data. So if you're going to buy material from somewhere, where are you going to buy it from, and how much does it cost? Give me a link to that. Tell me. Okay, so I appreciate this is possibly quite a lot to do on what's already been a fairly hefty assignment. So again, if you're working in a group, you could assign different people to do different tasks. Somebody could find out about this material, somebody could find out about that material, somebody could find out about that idea, and then you could bring it all together in your individual reports. Again, if you do that, let me know who you're in a team with and what your assigned tasks were, please. Yeah. So just under the heading development phase, team members and what they did. That would be super. Finally, then, the reporting phase. So, by writing all this down, by putting all this in one document, you are doing the reporting phase. So the last thing to do then is to write down a summary of your findings. What's the best way forwards? So you've done your development, so this is just kind of a summary. So it's your too long did not read section. Yeah, your TLDR section. So I could flip to your summary. You could say, we've decided on these changes, after deliberation, because it saves us this much money and this much time. That's kind of all you have to say, really. Conclude and evaluate your findings from the quality management standards report and the value analysis exercise to identify which areas can increase the profitability and efficiency of the bracket. So, it's basically what I just said to you. You're saying, by having all the holes the same size, we're reducing the tooling needed, we're reducing time changing tooling, we're making it easier to assemble, we're making it simpler to manufacture the legs, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Right. In doing this, you should suggest methods to improve the activity and identify those aspects that will offer greatest benefit. Use evidence to back up your suggestions. So, if in your creative phase you suggested gold, in your development phase you should have found out that this wasn't feasible, and so in your wrap-up, your summary is saying we're going to use mild steel because it's a darn sight cheaper than gold. Gold is however much per kilogram, mild steel is this much per kilogram. Back it up with evidence of what you found out. Don't say anything that you've not got evidence for. Yeah. For example, the second years have just finished an assignment where they've been looking at rectangular beams and I-beams, rolled steel joists, and comparing the two. So in their conclusion, some of them said, "Oh well, the rectangular beam would be stronger because it's solid, but the I-beam does the same thing." But there's no evidence in their research to prove that first statement. So if you know evidence, don't say it. Don't back it up with anything. Just make sure you back, especially in conclusions. Anything you say in conclusions should have some evidence. Yeah, and it's worth reiterating that evidence in your conclusion, just to make it clear. Yeah, that you've done your work. That's it. That's all there is to it. Yeah, it's a bit of a monster. I apologise for that, but that's what BTEC states you have to do in your spec, and that's how you do a value analysis, a functional analysis. So, okay, good morning. We're going to have a look at tasks. Right, okay, sorry about that. Again, previous recording just kicking in there. Right, I think that's it. I'm done. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a line in Teams. Yeah, all good. Bye.